Joining us now is Adam Segel, CEO of Cove, a competitor to WeWork. Adam, it's good to have you with us.
Great, thanks for having me.
Okay, so one of the big questions with WeWork's IPO, or the delayed IPO now, is the business model.
Sure.
How similar is your business model at Cove to WeWork's?
Sure, I think the one thing to think about with co-working and the rise, and actually what WeWork did, is offer this notion that real estate can have a lot more friendly consumer approach, right? So traditional leasing, you'd go, negotiate a deal, and then you'd have to hire a general contractor, an architect, all these service providers, right? WeWork cut the noise out, and they made it a lot easier to get started tomorrow. So I think that is, the fundamentals of that haven't changed. That is a great consumer offering. What has changed is just how you implement it. So for us, our model is far more aligned with ownership, and the way in which we engage with consumers. Our product is a lot more personalized. It's not necessarily cookie cutter in terms of traditional co-working. We're actually building offices for individual organizations, as well as we have a retail network for individuals from which they can work, which is closer to home.
I imagine that you went through WeWork's S1, that offering document that essentially gave a view under the hood of WeWork's business.
Sure.
Seeing those numbers, how were those numbers different from the numbers that you have at Cove?
Yeah, we don't have any long-term liabilities. So that's the clear biggest distinction. WeWork has, the average lease they sign is 15 years, $47 billion in long-term liability. Now that isn't to say that's a bad thing. That's part of their business model, and they put a lot of money into the upfront cost of building out a space. Ours just does not align. We align with the ownership, and we say, hey, we're going to build a great space, a great offering, work with you to revamp your entire building, but in return, we're not necessarily going to sign a 10-year liability, right? We're going to work with you, we're going to share in the upside, so everyone wins. The consumer get a more personalized approach. Cove is the service and tech solution that layers on top of real estate, and then owners actually get a higher rent.
Okay, so you've got locations in DC, Arlington, and Boston. Any others?
No, we have 7. We're coming online in Maryland soon, and really building out the network to about 15 locations in the DC area.
And is the bet here that entrepreneurship is still going to have a moment, that Gen Z is all in on entrepreneurship and they need these spaces to get their companies out there?
See, interestingly enough, our membership is only about 5% entrepreneurs. So this is, as I kind of talked about before, from a real estate perspective, people just want a more consumer-friendly approach, right? I want to be able to go and turn on my office, even if I'm a 100-person nonprofit, which we have in our DC Cove HQ model. They don't want to deal with a 10-year liability and have to do everything that goes into running a space. That is our bread and butter. That's what we focus on. We have a great platform and the services to really make your organization grow. Just like organizations use AWS in cloud services, they no longer have server spaces in their own office. They're outsourcing their office solution as well. So this isn't about startups versus non-startups. This is about the future, making real estate far more friendly from a consumer approach.
One conversation that has emerged in the wake of this WeWork IPO debacle has been about how to value this company.
Sure.
Is it a tech company, or as it calls itself, a community company, whatever that is, committed to elevating the world's consciousness?
Sure.
What do you consider Cove? Is it a real estate company? Is it a tech company?
The way in which we talk about it is one of our number one inputs is real estate. We have technology, we have services, and then we have real estate. What are we really? The owners on the real estate side, so when we partner with owners, then we provide the technology and the services. People say technology all the time. What is it? We build an experience where it makes it super easy, just like you're used to ordering an Uber, as opposed to going and hailing a taxi. You want everything at your fingertips, right? You want to make it super simple where you want to submit a request, you want to say that something's broken, you want to pull up and see actually who's in your office that day, right? We provide presence data to our members. So it's really about then playing that into making service delivery that much easier, so everything just happens faster, more in real time. And then, by the way, we're collecting all of this data to provide a better solution to the next person.
What's the growth strategy for you?
Sure, our growth strategy is entirely dictated on working with ownership groups in terms of overlaying our solution and partnering with them, as well as growing our neighborhood network locations so we can provide solutions close to people, where people live. So really, I think the biggest thing where the market's going and what we're not talking about is, I just saw, for example, Forever 21 filed for bankruptcy, and that's a retail provider. Office is going to go through a very similar transition, right? We haven't figured how to work effectively with technology. Companies like Google, companies like Slack that allow us to work more remotely are reducing the need to go into the office every day, right? The average person says, hey, I work from home 1 to 2 days a week. In about 3 years, it's going to be the reverse. You're going to say, hey, I work from the office 1 to 2 days a week. that's going to have a serious impact on commercial real estate.
At Cove, you've raised close to $7 million at this point. I believe Series A is where you are?
Yes.
So do you want to raise more money? And if you're already having these conversations, has the debacle around WeWork affected how investors are responding to your approaches?
Great question. I think the investment community, yes, for sure. But I think the real estate community, real estate owners, people that have these assets and are thinking about how do I go from today to tomorrow's modern workspace, no. They are very excited, and this is actually opening up more opportunities from us. We've never seen this much demand on the ownership side, especially as owners are thinking in terms of where do we go from here.
All right, Adam Segel, we got to leave it there. He's the CEO of Cove. Thanks for joining us.
Great, thanks for having me.